who were struggling to use a sales system. They didn't even know why they were supposed to use it in the first place. They didn't really realize the fact that revenue can be predictable and that their value, their company and their future and everything's better if they could forecast.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Contractor Success Academy lesson. I'm super excited because today we've got Ryan Groth here from Sales Transformation Group. Ryan, thanks for being here, buddy.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it.
Awesome. It's good to have you, Ryan. So, Ryan, I'm very familiar with some of what you do on the commercial side because we've got some mutual customers. And I also have the opportunity to see what others are saying about you on LinkedIn. But for those of you who may not have heard of you before, why don't you kind of give us a quick, who's Ryan Groth and what exactly does Sales Transformation Group do?
Yeah, thanks for being on, Mark, or having me on. It's great to see you in action too, and your clients love you. They rave about your results, and so it's great to be able to chat with your community here. A little bit about me. I live in Hawaii. I lived in South Florida for the longest time. We just moved here recently. COVID opened things up to say everything was, for me, going virtual with my training and coaching was something I wanted to do. This kind of helped me go all in. My wife really wanted to live here, so I'm working hard. I'm not checked out, and I'm not trying to retire. I'm working over here. No, we just wanted to, want to live here. I have 4 children, and I am a former professional baseball player, former CRM president with a company called Follow Up. So I launched that company with Best Roofing's beta testing kind of laboratory down in South Florida, received mentorship and guidance from the CEO there. And that's where I started to really see that the industry had some sales problems. They had sales culture problems, sales process problems, sales leadership problems. They just had areas that I felt like I can really help, especially seeing a successful company like his and seeing the marketplace struggle. And I could see the causes. Being an athlete, I brought a lot of that kind of mentality into my own journey as an entrepreneur, and kind of what birthed the real reason why I wanted to be a success and make a difference was my mom remarried when I was 12, and she and her husband moved to South Florida and started a contracting company, a home services company called ROI Builders. And I remember in the summer times I'd work with them and like get my hands dirty, make $10 an hour and run to the supply house. And I was the owner's son, right? I was next in line. One day I'll go to school, I'll come back and I'll be able to make some, make a difference and bring some sophistication to the business and grow it and kind of have the American dream. And unfortunately the recession hit and their business didn't make it and neither did their marriage. And I said, man, I don't want that to happen in my life. So family, business, helping the industry. I was like, this is what people need. This is what I want to do. And if only my parents had the tools and the knowledge and the resources that I learned by being mentored by this roofing contractor in South Florida and what I'm learning as somebody who just trying to do their best, right, with courses and knowledge and networking and reading and training and coaching. So I applied much of that mentality in sports into our training philosophy. And so we are a sales training, coaching, consulting company. Sales Transformation Group is. We service about 160 contracting companies right now. We've been in business almost 3 years. And I personally have been wearing the coaching hat since 2013 when I was adding professional services to the CRM company clientele who were struggling to use a sales system. They didn't even know why they were supposed to use it in the first place. They didn't really realize the fact that revenue can be predictable and that their value, their company and their future and everything's better if they could forecast revenue and make things predictable and make a system and a culture to support that. So I've just been on a mission to help the industry at all trades to become just more sophisticated, a little bit more savvy, and playing at a higher level on the front end. And that is equating to just some great success, not just the financial level, but the cultural level and with their team. So we're proud to do what we do and love partnering with people like you guys who help drive leads to the contracting community and their business so that our training could take effect and help these contractors convert more effectively.
Yeah, well, thanks, Ryan. I appreciate that. Great intro. Definitely one can't be without the other. I think all the leads in the world, if you don't have a process or a plan to convert those afterwards, your investment's not going as far as it could be. So 3 years, 160 customers, you're still actively coaching yourself. You've been exposed to a lot of, mistakes, right? Or pitfalls. What can you share with us, Ryan, in terms of what, where most businesses fall short when it comes to sales, just at a very high level?
I think the biggest mistake that any company can make is the owner not learn how to sell in a disciplined way. What do I mean by that? Well, most owners are technical, right? They know the contracting industry. They know how they can perform the work. They know how to get the guys going. They know how to make the customer pleased and happy. They know the power of reviews, but they don't know how to sell them. Like they don't truly know how to sell and define a sales process that they can actually teach and say they lived out. Most of them are passionate. Most of them care. And they own, and because of that, they're able to convert leads pretty well because the homeowner's like, oh, I'm talking to the owner of the company and he's going to tell me what he thinks. So they're going to buy, but because they get by that, right? And so then they think that surely if I can do that, anybody could do that. So they bring in their brother or their brother-in-law, or their buddy from high school, and they start to bring bodies in to go represent. And then they immediately see a decline in the performance. And they're wondering like, what the heck? Like, how come you guys can't like close the deal? And so I think the biggest thing is that the sales culture needs to be embodied by the owner first. Like, what does that mean? Well, the best return on investment a company can make is when the owner, the visionary, the guy with all the power of the company can learn sales development himself, basically train, get the mindset training, the sales process, and have some new standards of excellence. Because what I find is a pitfall could be owners closing $100K a month, all right, of residential, right? So let's say that's 4 or 5 deals a month. They're like, dude, I got to go project manage. They're booked out. Like they're like not sure if they can handle more. Leads are slipping through the cracks. And now they're just kind of like running everywhere and they're just leaving so much money on the table. What if they could just delegate project management and administration, learn how to sell like $350 a month. Now they're like, cool. If I could sell $350 a month, now I can afford to recruit, train, ramp up, and hire like a high performer who can like go out there and sell $120,000 re-roof job because they're strong enough. They're talented enough. And I think that what most people do is they don't learn sales. They got to focus on the projects, and then they delegate sales to somebody else without a sales process because they never learned one. And then there's no ramping playbook. There's no coaching. It's just kind of ride with me and go figure it out. And especially if they're in an insurance market, they're just trying to sell a deductible versus sell like true value. And then you have a huge bottleneck because somebody like you, Mark, who could ramp it up if they have the money to go to book more appointments. They're just like, it's a huge leaky bucket. So I think that the biggest pitfall is an owner not learning sales at a higher level in a more professional way. And I'm not talking door to door. I'm talking high level consultative relationship selling with the decision makers, know their milestones, and it's more disciplined versus just go out there and wing it. And what if an owner did all those things and managed their pipeline in a CRM and like followed up and they actually modeled everything they would want a salesperson to do? If they do that, first off, they're going to be loaded rich. They're going to be buying trucks and buying a new home in like a year pretty quickly.
Because fishing trips and hunting trips.
A couple of those things would happen. And then secondly, they'll be like, okay, now I know how to impose the right beliefs, the right process, the right culture onto talented humans that can represent at that level versus, dude, I just need a warm body. He or she may look like they just came out of rehab. All that's fine. I like success stories, but if you want to be the best, you need the best people. And in order to attract the best people, you got to have a culture and a system and a process that supports their ability to say, hey, this company is going to get me to where I want to be, which is making 100, 200, 300K a year rather, potentially, selling a lot of deals, making a lot of things happen, bringing in gross profit margin. And, that salesperson or that sales professional, they can have a family and a mortgage and versus just pick up some kind of gypsy-like people and travel across the country and put a lot of stress. It just depends on what you want. I'm much more about the local regional company growing in a predictable way and building local teams that stay on year in, year out. And in order for that to happen, the owner needs to learn how to sell. not just like ink an insurance claim, but sell value. They could do that. Changes the game.
Yeah, you must see. I can imagine there's some people out there in the field who, because they've been doing it for so long, they can sell, but it doesn't mean that because you're a great athlete, you can train or teach somebody else to be as good as you are, right? So I guess, systems and processes. How do you go about identifying where somebody's falling short in your system? Like, how do you guys audit? What does that look like?
Yeah, so we do an initial sales analysis, and it's not like a behavioral disc test or Myers-Briggs. It's not any of that subjective stuff. It's an objective sales analysis tool. And what we do is we open up the conversation of saying, where are all the hidden weaknesses that are either sabotaging or potentially supporting their ability to sell at a high level. We actually rank them out of a weak, serviceable, strong, or elite percentile rank. We find out how motivated they are, how they're motivated rather, if they're coachable, what their limiting beliefs are. Like, do they have a high need for approval? Do they have a high money tolerance? Are they comfortable discussing money? How do they buy? Are they able to control their emotions? And then we measure all these things because they all equate to sales performance. Are they good hunters, relationship builders, consultative sellers of value? Do they qualify well? Do they present in the right context? So when we do that initial analysis, we're measuring 21 core competencies that not maybe equate to sales success, but do if they address those. So some of them are strong and some of them are god awful weak, but with the measuring of those weaknesses, now the sales professional has a choice. They say, hey, I could fix this. Now this is telling me what I can work on. And through training and coaching, that dramatically accelerates and kind of really unlocks what they didn't know they had in the tank. And so once they get that honest feedback, it's like you doing an audit on their lead flow and their lead conversion. And it's like, this is awful. Well, the choice is we can optimize for it or not, right? The same with the sales athlete. We can optimize for their beliefs or not. And so we give them those resources and the training and coaching and workshops and the team building exercises in our program to upgrade those beliefs. Therefore, we're able to fulfill asking good, great, tough questions, fulfill actually getting decision maker, fulfill active listening and consultative selling. And then when all those are fulfilled, you're selling more value, right? You're selling at a higher margin. Your closing ratio is higher. Your selling cycle is shorter. Everything upgrades. Your referrals grow. You get more introductions and referrals. More people want to work with you. So if we can turn somebody into a decent athlete and then have an environment where we can attract a really good athlete and then make them their best, you don't even need 1 million salespeople. You just need a bunch of, like, a handful or two of really good, solid, high performers, and then and just go make a lot of money and just keep growing and decide how to optimize from there. So that's the first step we take.
Yeah, interesting. I like that. I think everyone needs a coach. It doesn't matter, what position you play. There's always room to improve. And when it comes to commercial, I know there's a lot of companies. We work with a lot of residential businesses as well, and commercial is sometimes a smaller piece of their overall revenue mix, and they want to take on more. Mm-hmm. What can you share in terms of a business who's considering the idea of making a move over to commercial, or putting more resources on that front, like without giving you a full-blown case study? I know I've seen some great success stories and things published to LinkedIn and stuff, but what kind of transformations are you seeing with companies that have gone residential, commercial?
Yeah, so I'll speak really quickly to people who have residential, buy my program thinking it's going to help commercial. They ended up selling a lot more residential as well. Because,
okay.
So I just want to say that, like, we had somebody bought it within 30 days, like sold a $110,000 re-roof project. He's like, we credit the training for that. Somebody, instead of door knocking 100 doors, they door knocked one and then sold much more consultatively than they did in the past and got 8 referrals. He's like, I made $40K this week. He just gave me like a whole slew of stack of signed contracts. So, but that specific sales guy, he's in Denver. He's a sales VP actually. In the past, the track record is, because of the seasonality, they don't make any money in the wintertime, but because they focus on commercial, they're able to they did $250,000 in billing in this past January. And that was like such a huge change in like their entire world, because for 10 years or 9 years, they've they've not made any money. And the storm hits, they do well, but that's so unpredictable. So the whole reason why you should get into commercial is for predictability purposes. Why? Well, when you're selling commercial, you're not selling to a homeowner who's buying, who's getting their work done on their house, maybe once or twice, every 10 years or 20 years. This is potentially working with accounts, right? Who have repeat business, who have a lot of work, a lot of buildings, need a lot of help. And so you have the potential of kind of being in more of a recession-proof situation, although home services is also recession-proof, because as we see COVID, it's actually made everything go up in residential, which is fantastic. But looking at commercial, you always need to repair, restore, replace buildings. They're always going to be in use. Whatever the purpose is, owners and managers need to restore, replace, and they'd rather repair it than replace it, right? So what I would say is anybody looking to get into commercial, realize that the long-term play is you have repeat business, people who want a trusted advisor, you get paid higher gross profit margins, and you get paid fast because you're not in a new construction environment where the GC's holding the money. And you really need a lot of working capital to support your ability to do well in a new construction market, which is also cyclical as well. So what I would do is I would build a brand, talking SEO, outbound messaging, everything around roof repair, right? Roof repair. And if you can be a roof repair specialist, you're making 50 to 70% gross profit margins with companies that need help on a regular basis. And then if you do a good job with that, and we teach the training, once you focus on that, how the salespeople can be consultative and sell and really advise that building owner or that manager on the life of their whole portfolio in a way that actually makes things more predictable, because then you're not just spraying and praying repairs or T&Ms. You're like actually making a case for them to do proactive repairs and maintenance with you. So you do that and you get enough relationships built, you can have a book of business that feeds you for a long time. And I have companies that went from, they had a surveyor who just went out there and estimated and did takeoffs and doing $30K a month to becoming an account manager, which is a salesperson now, doing $150K a month, because now they have a sales process. They're more relational. They're asking for referrals. They're getting to the decision maker. They're selling more value. So companies typically, if they're really committed, they can go from zero commercial work, maybe 100K a year, like a couple jobs here and there, right? Like on accident, to if they focus and did this the right way and actually owned it, it can go from zero. I've had my best success story was $7.5 million in year 2. So in 24 months, they had a good year 1, then year 2. So that wasn't even their total sales, but year 2 was $7.5 million. I've seen somebody go from 0 to 5 million in 24 months in commercial, 0 to 3.5 in 18 months. Because the reality is commercial is a different animal. You can't just show up the way in residential and close the deals fast. Some of these people are more skeptical. They need a better business case. The deal cycles are a little longer, but we help navigate those complex selling cycles so that they're shorter, and that you're different from your competition. You're not just another price. You sell real value, and you're able to kind of beat up the competition, let them beat up the competition, really themselves and the prospect through your question asking. We teach the strategies on how to do that. My largest companies are doing, 75 million, 80 million a year in commercial. So we're helping different ranges, but the skill set to get into commercial, it's a different animal. It's more relational. It's more of a higher level sale, most cases, but you want to lead with service. And if you do that within 2 to 4 years, people will want your help telling them how to replace it. And that's when you're looking at $100 to $1 million jobs at 25 to 35% gross profit margin. When you start to do those regularly and you have a brand that and accounts and relationships, you're able to make some great money. So we have a joint client, and Ryan Lephart is this main sales guy for Great Roofing, right? Those guys you work with and do a great job on the residential side. And Ryan does a lot of residential sales, but he texted me and Instagram messaged me recently. And he's like, I sold these guys repairs 3 years ago and been building that relationship. And he showed me the entire complex that he's going to re-roof. And that's big money. And so I think that people just got to be committed to the long-term play, and they have to have a long-term vision. If they do that though, we can make that happen much shorter than it sounds, through the right strategies and the right approach.
I like that. And just kind of underline, it is a long-term play. It's not a quick win. You're talking about brand building that doesn't happen overnight. You're talking about deliberately going after the repair, which seems kind of counterintuitive, a little unconventional if you're coming from the residential space where, I'd rather have a replacement than, small repair jobs, but different when it comes to commercial.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I love having, with partners, joint customers, because you get to see, I see you drop something on LinkedIn and, oh yeah, we know who that is. Or so that's always fun. And I know people watching, they like hacks, they like tips, tricks, things that are super, super actionable. So short of obviously signing up and hiring you guys, is there anything that you can share that people can kind of do on their own that would have an immediate impact or help them kind of have this, I don't know, light bulb moment or an epiphany, if you will? Sometimes it's a framework, a checklist or whatever. What have you found to be helpful for some of your customers?
Yeah, I think that one of the biggest light bulb moments is redefining selling. Basically helping somebody who has a current agitated situation and then a future desired situation, and then finding their compelling reasons to fix it. So if you can help somebody get from current and agitated to desired, and then find out their compelling reason to fix it, you're going to close at a higher level with more margin, more value, and not be focused on selling on price. I think many people struggle with selling on price. So there's a couple of gold nuggets. One is selling is not coming up with the cost to fix their problem. That's estimating. Selling is coming up with the cost to the prospect if they don't solve it right the first time. That's not just financial cost, that's emotional cost, right? That's frustration. So really, I'm teaching somebody, my salespeople, my clients, to say, hey, what's really going on? What's the real issue here? What's the reason why you want to fix it? Where do you want to go? And what's your motivation behind all this? And then getting them to start talking much earlier on the process, which gives you way more information to say, ooh, this is probably like, I could sell more add-ons and upgrades because they're looking for a full guidance on their entire home. Or, you know what, they're just looking to flip this house. So I'm going to try to get something very, very cost effective at the cheapest installed cost. Like most salespeople just show up, go do an inspection, present a proposal, and then hope, right? They just hope that they're going to buy. They hope that they're going to try to close them. And then it's a lot of discounting. Unfortunately, some systems are all about discounting once you lead with this high price. I'm more about slow down, do a lot more opening up and asking more questions, because we know what selling is. Selling is helping somebody who has a current agitated situation, a future desired situation, with a really compelling reason to fix it. If you have that and you find out that information, you can get to the decision makers. You can find out how committed they are, how much money they want to spend. You can do all that. But most people don't know how to ask that. They just say, where's the leak, or where's the issue? What do you want? Yeah. They don't really dig. They don't really create any value and any differentiation. They just come out and they say, cool. And then they try to flash or blow them away with the presentation. I love great looking presentations, but within what context? Is it everybody's the same? No, that homeowner is unique. That building owner is unique. And I think that sales professionals who know the power of asking questions and letting them buy versus I'm just going to close everybody. Yeah. They end up getting, here's the deal. You could sell authentically now. You're not trying to manipulate anybody. You can actually just sell authentically and serve people and help people. So that's something actionable. Is the next time you're on a call, ask, so what motivated you to reach out to us? And tell me why, tell me more, tell me why, tell me more. And just ask that 3 or 4 times without sounding like a robot, but really caring. I guarantee you'll feel like this. This is the quote I get from my clients. Man, I feel like they just verbally vomited all over me. And I'm like, how'd that feel? They're like, it felt great. I got so much information. I never had this before. Now I'm able to do so much more. I feel a lot more power on the deal. So I think that what I'm teaching, it doesn't sound so sexy to many people because it's counterintuitive. It's not like, hey, do this and that, you're going to boom, boom, boom. It's more like, hey, slow down and you'll speed up your culture. You'll speed up your results, but you got to slow down a little bit on the front end. if I can get people to do that, which when I do, the results go through the roof. That's the hack that nobody wants to teach is be consultative, actually act like you really care, ask a lot of questions, really actually listen, and really come up with a custom solution. That's the hard stuff that people don't want to do. But that's the stuff, if you use, translates from, selling on price, selling all the features and benefits to the world is my oyster. I could charge whatever I want because they know I really care.
Yeah. And surprisingly, it's easier said than done. It's, I feel like you say, inexperienced people will have tendency to just try to, okay, what do I have to run through? Okay, I've got this checklist. They want to tick boxes. Okay, I've done everything. Here's a proposal. And like you say, asking the questions and letting the customer sort of guide you into what's most important for them, it just makes things a lot easier on the sales side. I feel like as a business owner, this stuff comes natural to you because you care and you're passionate, as you mentioned earlier. But to pass this info along and teach others and make sure that they do it, I don't know if it's the comp plan or the incentives or what, but you've got to make sure that that person is motivated, and not just by money, but to do the right thing the right way. And I think that's a challenge in itself, right? So it does, to a degree, come back to leadership, right?
They got to have an idea of who they are, their core values. They got to have a sense of saying, yeah, they're cut from our kind of cloth. Like that's our people. Like, whether it's our mutual client, Daniel Young with Kingdom's got they have some core values. They're like, yeah, he's a Kingdom guy. Or Josh will be like, he's a great roofing guy. You could just tell they're like our kind of guys. Like, and if you don't have that defined, at the end of the day, we're talking about motivating like a group of people to invest time and energy to provide for their families and leave a legacy. So there's got to be some bigger vision beyond just like, hey, you can make such and such amount of money. It's like, we're here to do this. This is our mission in our local marketplace. I'm all about extracting that. So there's a structure and the culture to sustain the kind of behavior we're talking about, which is like asking questions, serving, slowing down, qualifying, training, continual improvement. And so I'm a big advocate of that type of culture, because to me, I see that's more sustainable, right? That's predictable. That's, hey, I can lease that big building that I want to get because we have reoccurring revenue, because we're tapping into we're tapping into making things more predictable. We're doing everything we can with lead gen, sales process, sales mindset, sales culture, sales comp plan, sales strategy, if it's commercial repair, residential, or if it's additional exterior work that complements your core offering. I'm all about making a company kind of get into that, what I call sales nirvana, right? Contractor nirvana. Like, hey, things can be predictable. You can grow at the pace you want. You can create a great culture. It's not for the faint of heart, but if you want that, these are some steps. And we definitely do that and help people build that environment with our program. And it's great to see people seeing the success with it.
Yeah. I love that word, Ryan. We're big proponents of that predictability. It's, on the lead gen side, that's all that we talk about. You want your ability to generate leads to be very predictable. So I love that. Ryan, we're coming up on time here. So I want to make sure that you have the opportunity to let people know how to get in touch with you, because I'm sure people will want to connect and learn more. Where should we send people?
Yeah, you could just go right to, I'm on Facebook and LinkedIn, just if you just want to connect with me there. But really, if you're like, hey, I like this guy, I think he could help, I want some of that juice in my business, just go to salestransformationgroup.com. I have a call to action, says get a price. So just click on that. You'll go to a page. It's got a questionnaire. It's about 5 minutes long. I do that on purpose to kind of weed out wasting our time with people who aren't that committed. If you fill that out, I know you're committed. You should be booking a meeting with our team, and I'll be on that call, and we'll do our strategy session with you. We'll take the info we found from your questionnaire form. We'll ask a lot of great questions. We'll tell you what we think we can do to help. We also have a lot of case studies in there. We have an ebook you can download. That's 13-page ebook for developing sales organizations for growth-minded contractors. We like to have fun. We don't take ourselves too seriously, but we do play with the serious clients. Like, we don't really work with the startups unless they're starting up knowing, hey, I know what I'm doing and I'm going to get there really fast. Most of our contractors are already relatively successful. They think they're pretty good, but they know there's a bigger world out there and they want to play at a higher level. We help take them to that.
Nice. Okay, Ryan, that's awesome. Well, thanks for sharing. Again, lots of great advice there. Urge people to rewatch that lesson. Ryan, thanks again, my friend. We'll see you again soon.
Thanks, Mark.